All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have the Dark Horse Area 51 Indy Series here tonight at Chicagoland Speedway. 125 laps will be our scheduled distance this evening. Drivers putting down their qualifying laps as we speak to put down where they're going to start tonight. Bit of a smaller field here tonight. Looks like probably around the 10 to 12 driver range. So unfortunately, not a lot of drivers making out to the track here at Chicagoland. But what that does mean, though, Boomer, is it is going to be very quick. And I think any little mistake's going to just kind of even be that much more detrimental. So we'll have to see what these guys have in store. Also, a little bit of a kind of a hiccup on the fuel side of things. Drivers are going to start with a little bit reduced fuel, 70% at the start of the race. However, once they fill up, they'll be able to actually fill up to 80%. So they'll be able to get a little bit. It's going to be a shorter fuel run to start the race, and then they'll be able to add a little bit of fuel to kind of extend their run later on in the race. Hearing probably about upper 30s, maybe even around 40 or so laps on fuel. Which, again, you know these drivers, if they can find a way to stretch it longer, they will. As we've seen last couple weeks, it's definitely been a fuel strategy type of series these last couple of races, with Dover especially, and then Pocono as well coming into the fuel mileage side of things as well. So I think what's on these guys' minds, though, is they're going to try to topple Nick DeGroot in that number 89. He has won the last two races so far, so they're going to try to see if they can dethrone him and then also for Jeff Heisong, winner of the season opener, try to close that points gap down on that number 89 machine.
Yeah, Gael, definitely going to be a fun race tonight here at Chicagoland. This is one of my favorite tracks on the sim. Absolutely a beautiful track to race at, and just about any kind of pavement vehicle. Obviously, we get the IndyCar series here tonight. Excited, looking forward to that. We've seen a couple really good battles here in the past at this track, where really the leader just has to focus on sticking to that bottom lane, and you can see a couple guys towards the back of the pack, usually trying to work that top side and get that second, third, maybe sometimes fourth lane even going. So we'll see here tonight. It's going to be a fun one. Definitely going to try and see if we can. If someone can dethrone Nick DeGroot, as you'd mentioned, but should be a fun battle for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge. I mean, we know what he's able to do kind of week in and week out. It looks like pretty much everybody's opting to put qualifying laps in. I believe from what I'm looking at, it looks like right now we've had just pretty much all but two drivers put a lap down. Right now I still see Craig Forsyth, Matt Wagner on the track, maybe waiting a little longer, maybe trying to see if the track temperature, maybe it'll drop just a little bit, give them that extra hundredth or even maybe thousandth of a second that they need to try to topple the pole sitter time tonight. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. Right now it looks like the only drivers not having a time yet in qualifying are Charles Teed, Taylor Reeves. Unfortunately, I think Charles is having some wheel issues, who won't be on track here this evening. And I'm not sure about the 41 of Taylor Reeves, but for those watching, I say, Chris, I already saw you in here. Definitely enjoy having you watching and supporting, and of course also broadcasting. But I'm going to add one more to you, buddy. I think we need to get you on track here, especially if we're going to show about 12 cars or so. I think we need that number 92 machine on track and putting these guys at it.
To see that. I'd like to see that myself for sure.
All right, so the gauntlet has been thrown, Chris. If you want to do some racing, let's get you on track here, get you going with these open wheel machines. And say if it's a sponsorship issue, don't worry. We'll Green White Checker. We'll cover the bill, so no stress there. So
yeah.
But Boomer, it looks like qualifying has just completed. Again, a pretty short field here tonight, so won't see a big list of drivers here tonight. Actually, all but one on the one page, and the one who's not on the page isn't going to be racing tonight. You're going to have Matt Wagner, who actually was able to sneak on pole there at the very end there over Nick DeGroot by 7 thousandths of a second. Then Luis Gonzalez Nunez, Eric Peterson, Jeff Heisong, Craig Forsyth, Dylan McIntosh, William Gunn, Yari Brupacker, Dan Marrera, Joseph Morales, and Taylor Reeves will be our 12 drivers. And like I mentioned, that 13th position, unfortunately not in the field tonight, I don't believe, unless he's able to make a late addition. And that will be Charles Teed in that number 50. So, like I said, smaller field here tonight, but definitely won't be short on action here as everybody's starting to get ready here, get gridded up, as we're just going to wait for those drivers to get everything ready here in just a moment.
Yeah, some beautiful scenery here around Chicagoland Speedway. Definitely a shame that this track is not going to be sticking around long in real life, but thankfully it's one of the tracks that we will still have for years to come in the sim, and should be a good battle tonight. Obviously, Matt Wagner starting off strong with that pole position there. Hope to see if he can stay mistake-free tonight and maybe try and grab a win over that 89 and Nick DeGroot. Obviously, a great starting spot for Luis Gonzalez Nunez and Eric Peterson as well. They're up in the top 4. So definitely a lot of guys in this field that have the potential to win. Obviously, you mentioned starting 5th is Jeff Hysong, one of our only other winners for the season. So it'll be exciting to see who's going to take it home. I mean, I really think just about anybody that's here tonight has a chance with this shorter field to make it happen. But obviously, going to be chasing that 89 and the 6 machine to start the race as they roll off the grid.
Yeah, exactly right. And yes, I'd like to mention on the point side of things, like I said, could be a big points night for some drivers. Nick DeGroot right now, 16-point lead over Jeff Hysong with those 2 wins in a row. And then in 3rd is Eric Peterson, 38 points out, and it's really tight from there. 2 points behind him is Dan Morera. Luis Gonzalez Nunez only 6 points behind Dan, and then another only 2 points behind is Joseph Morales in that number 60. So there's a lot of drivers right now sitting in that top 6 or so that are right on top of each other. Then we got a tie for the 7th spot with Yari Bruckpacher, Matt Wagner. So yeah, a lot of opportunities for these drivers. And again, also almost maybe a little bit of a mulligan race, I guess you could say here too, Boomer. If you don't have a good race, well, you know what? The worst you can finish right now looks like it might be 12th or 13th. So yeah, that might maybe incentive for some drivers to maybe step it up just a little bit extra here. So we'll wait and see. And then yeah, for Chris, for the ARB and the weight jackers and all that, we'll get you in let's say we can get you in a chat where these guys can kind of work you through everything that's going to be what you need to have happen here tonight.
All right, here they come rolling off of turn number 4. You're going to see the iRacing pace car jump to pit lane here, and we are going to be underway for 125 laps here at Chicagoland Speedway. Matt Wagner in the 6 machine is going to lead them to the green flag.
Yeah, clean start here for everybody. Looks like everybody down and away. A little bit of a hiccup there connection-wise. It looked like that might be, I think, not at the 49. Trying to tell.
It's Jeff Hysong, it looks like, on the inside there.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that. That's always a concern, but you talked about that white line being your friend. That's what we're seeing. Actually, yeah, you're right, Jeff Hysong, a little bit of blinking going on in that second lane. And also actually one of Dan Morera, I think it also was. Yeah. So a couple of connection hiccups here as you got. And there goes Jeff. He's actually going to do the very polite thing here. It's hard to do, but he's going to roll to the back here. And actually, you saw there had to be very, very careful there because he just all about caught the apron. That's very, very dangerous there. So great job by Jeff. He's just going to let that connection resettle and kind of get comfortable, and then he'll get back after it. However, Matt Wagner leads lap number 1. And then right on his tail now is that 15 of Luis Gonzalez Nunez. Nick DeGroot's dropped back to 3rd. And again, talked about the slightly reduced field to start this thing, a little bit less than what they can fill up the cars. So do these drivers maybe save a little bit of fuel? But look at this outside line. Look at Luis here. He's actually gotten alongside this number 6 machine. So there might be something here to run that second lane. He's going to clear that number 6 car.
Yeah, the 89 is going to pull alongside of him too here as the 6 is going to look like he's going to drop back to 3rd there after leading the previous lap. So definitely interesting for sure to see that high line is working out so far. And take it back as the 6 is going to settle back in with the 89 now on his inside, actually. So interesting to see for sure. You know, you can get a good enough run on that outside lane, but if you kind of stall out and lose that momentum there and get hung out, sometimes you know, it's going to be not super beneficial. You can almost kind of get freight trained, but just have to be careful about it and see how the draft works. I mean, you know, at a 1.5 mile track, there still is a ton of draft or tow in these Indy cars that makes a huge difference. As now we see the 14 of William Gunn. He's going to jump up to that 2nd spot around the outside of the 6. So definitely making a few lines work already tonight, and it's kind of exciting to see as Luis Gonzalez Nunez is actually going to be under fire from William Gunn from the beginning as well. So who knows, maybe some of the strategy early on for some of these guys kind of leaning back maybe just a little bit just to try and save a little bit more fuel, knowing that they've only got 70% in the tank versus the 80% that they will be able to fill up to after their first pit stop.
Yeah, it's very possible, honestly. And you do see that kind of just that little gap now between Luis and William, but I kind of don't have the vibe that Luis and William are riding right now. And so, I mean, that shows that there is a second groove here tonight, and that's what you want to see in these races. You don't want these guys just to be living on that bottom line. So I like what I see. I mean, William right now, like I said, he's gone for it. He's on a tear already, up 6 spots from where he qualified there in that number 14 machine. So a great job by that Red Bull car there. Like I said, just keeping Luis honest right now. Hasn't got the momentum yet. But you see right there, he ducks down, picks up the draft. He'll peak right back out right before the start-finish line here, and was just a couple hundredths behind him there at the line. And so that's what these guys will do. At some point, they'll learn, say, okay, when do I need to make the move? Where do I make the move? And maybe I can try to steal that lead at the start-finish line. Because when it comes checker flag time, Boomer, they don't care how close you are if you have the lead entering 3 or not. You just want that lead coming out of 4 through the start-finish line. So that's what these guys are going to be even this early on, they're going to start working on trying to figure out how to make that happen.
Yeah, for sure. William Gunn getting a little aggressive with the side draft even here at the early stages of these races, not even 10 laps in here. So definitely, on the gas, on the go pedal, they're trying to get around the 15 still as they still battle side by side. So definitely excited to see, like you mentioned, that we are going to potentially get some multiple lanes going. But it's a perfect opportunity now. It's super early in the race. Nothing's happened yet. There's no fuel strategy. Everyone's just kind of running out this first stint on fuel. You can try something and see what's gonna stick. Can you make the outside work? Can you make the inside work? And almost also sizing up some of the drivers too, trying to get to know their tendencies and where they're gonna like to be, and maybe trying to make that effort to, like you mentioned, get to the front on the across the start finish line, because that's where it really matters, even if you are battling side by side with somebody.
Yeah, exactly right. So I was saying, yeah, like you said, with it, Kings kind of being calm for a moment here, like I said, and also a bit of a smaller field, we'll run through the field here so you can see where your favorite drivers are. Obviously, right now, leading the race is that number 15 of Luis Gonzalez Nunez in that Sim Race 24/7 machine. Really great looking paint scheme on that one. Then a very, very familiar and very successful paint scheme right behind him in that number 14 of William Gum in that Red Bull machine. And then I'll say on the Area 51 side, very successful machine, that black and yellow motorsport.com of Nick DeGroot. And then probably a little bit biased, but that green-white checker machine, always a fun one here for us to watch and compete with. So he sits in 4th right now. Was our pole sitter, dropped a couple spots here. We got, I think, some strategy going on there. And then if there's a fuel mileage strategy driver, that's the driver right there, Craig Forsyth. He is a fuel master. So wouldn't be surprised to see him run some fuel numbers that will benefit him at some point tonight in this one, as he's battling for that 4th spot with Matt Wagner. And right behind them, Dan Moreira, I believe a teammate to Craig Forsyth there, sitting in the 6th position. Right now, close there between Craig and Matt. They're coming out of 4. Dan right now, they had looks like the connectivity's kind of cleared up here, so it's a good spot for Dan to be in. As soon as I say that, here goes Jari Brupacher, going to grab that 6th position. For the moment, we'll see if he's able to hold on to it, because again, that outside line, some really, really good momentum there. And then behind them, Eric Peterson. This is kind of an Eric Peterson race right now. He's just kind of taking his time. Qualified up in 4th, drops back to 8th. But again, I think he's thinking big picture right now in that 36. And then we got Joseph Morales, who's kind of been Mr. Clean this season, just been keeping himself out of trouble, and that's what's been getting him great results all throughout the season. So definitely expect to see more of Joseph on that one, as well as going on the high side. That 41 of Taylor Reeves started in 12th, up into the 9th position, now into that top 10 in that Coast Guard machine, apologies. Then we'll drop back 2 spots now to Dylan McIntosh in that 04. Very familiar McLaren colors there on that number 04 machine there with the blue and the orange. And then, of course, our season opener winner, Jeff Hysong, with Black Rifle Coffee on board. He sits in the shotgun spot again, dropped to the back due to the connection issues, but he's, again, looks like things have solidified for him as well. So great news for him, great news for Dan Moreira. Saying give him time. They'll wait for that pit stop cycle, I think, Boomer, and then they'll get after it here, because we're only on lap number 17 of 125. Probably another, I don't know, I'd say 15, 20 laps minimum, I think, before we start to see these drivers hit pit road under green flag conditions.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely glad that Jeff was able to catch up to the back of the pack there, as we see a little bit of a some diciness going on here in the kind of the middle of the pack, kind of being led now by Craig Forsyth, that he's going to actually jump up and take that 3rd position away. Dan Moreira is going to follow him, as William Gunn is starting to drop back just a little bit. Jari Brupacher also working on the outside there. Matt Wagner is actually jumping back about 6 spots now behind them, but definitely anyone's race still here in the early stages, not even, or just over 10% of the way through the race. But Luis Gonzalez Nunez is kind of quietly just pacing the field, with Nick DeGroot now up to 2nd place. So Not a ton of action going on, but still everyone trying to figure out how to get those inside and outside lines working. It almost seems like the outside line's prevailing just a little bit better, at least through the center of the corner, because a lot of guys on the bottom of the track can kind of send it in there a little bit deeper, and then the outside seems to be better off exits. So interesting to see for sure. It's definitely not the easiest to pass here, but it does look like there is some ability to move around, so that's always fun.
And you see it right there as we're looking off the back of Luis Gonzalez. You can see they were going all the way from the bottom to the middle to the wall there. As again, you just get further down the field, everybody's just going to be looking for any clean air they can find. I see right there, Nick DeGroot gave Craig there a handful of dirty air there in the 89 as he tries to work his way a little bit further forward. But I'm noticing those, I feel like maybe we're starting to see, we talked about this track there being a really fun one. This is also one of the more abrasive tracks here on these ovals, and so I'm wondering if some of those drivers that are pushing hard early, like the William Gunn in the 14, maybe burned up his tires a little bit being as aggressive as he was, and maybe that car just doesn't quite have the grip that it did early on. Big bobble there out of 4, just hung on to it there. Quick hands by that 14 just as we're focusing on him. So yeah, I'm wondering that handle might be going away out of that Red Bull number 14 machine. So maybe the abrasiveness of this track might be coming into play here, as actually Luis has kind of snuck away just a little bit by about 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, these guys are running just about 2 to 3 tenths off of their fastest laps of the race so far. So a little bit of fall off could just be not pushing too hard here as we get towards probably closer to the end of this run than the start of it. So we'd think that there's a little bit of fall off, but like last lap, Luis Gonzalez Nunez ran a 25.4, Craig Forsett a 25.40, Jari Prupacker a 25.49, where those guys are in the low 25s, 25 teens for their fastest laps. So about 0.3 of a second of a fall off here within 24 laps, and seems to be pretty accurate. I mean, obviously I don't think IndyCar tires fall off nearly as much as like you might see in maybe a stock car, but especially because they have all the grip that they do with the aero, and the cars are so much lighter. But you can still definitely burn those tires off and make a bad time for yourself for sure.
Yeah, I do wonder if that is coming to play, but right now Jari, he has been on the move right now. He's now worked his way up into the second spot, now working on the lead here as they go into 1. And again, we'll see how it seems like you can get to that 15 of Luis Gonzalez. The question is, can you get around him? And right now Luis is, like I said, kind of just rolling that inside line there, just kind of drifting up about a groove or so, getting that entry he needs into 1, into 3. But you can see that car isn't sticking right to the bottom out of 4. That thing just does watch up about a groove and a half there. So, like I said, I do think the tires are wearing, and you're right, the Boomer, it is possible these guys may have backed down their pace a little bit. But even in the draft, though, I mean, right now I think the fastest lap of the race is about a 24.94, 24.94, 24.97 for Jari. But like I said, yeah, they're about a half a second, 0.4 of a second off. And I don't think that's completely due to just backing down. It's like it doesn't look like Yari's doing any saving right now. I think this looks like we've just probably lost about 0.4, 0.5 of a second just on outright pace so far over this course of this fuel run. So really could bode for some interesting strategies. Maybe that undercut might be one to watch for later on this evening.
Yeah, we'll see, or even potentially the overcut where, sometimes it works better when you have fresher tires at the end of a run and can run guys down. But I'm sure these guys are going to be playing with every bit of strategy that they possibly can to see what's going to happen. If we run green for a long ways, you may not see a ton of differences in strategy. As you kind of mentioned, I think we said somewhere around between 30 and 40 laps for a full fuel run. So that does kind of limit the options with what's a fairly short race here tonight with 125 laps. But it'll be interesting to see if the drivers can try and stretch it on 3 stops or if everyone has to go to 4.
Yeah, that is going to be the big question, especially, like I said, the big wrench in this is with everybody starting with just a little bit less fuel, and they can actually fill the cars up too. So, like I said, these guys are going to start off this race, like I said, kind of at the 70% mark on fuel of a full tank. Just basically allows for a little bit more strategy, allows a little more green flag pit stops. It's something that the league tries to do, kind of try to open up the field a little bit, allow these guys to get a little bit racier. And so that's a really good thing that they can do. As you see right there, William Gunn, Nick DeGroot having a good little battle here for 4th and 5th, as William had it for a second, but then Nick got the momentum back out of 2. He's going to swing right back on by. And that's brought now Eric Peterson right back into the mix here. But again, though, they're starting to drop off just a little bit. Again, this little bit of battling, I mean, you lose about a half a second or so. So this is pretty interesting to see how this is kind of shaking out on the drafting and the pack racing, if you will, because these guys aren't able to stay just locked on like if it was like a Daytona Talladega with these cars. So I do think that the tire wear and the abrasiveness of this Chicagoland Speedway is definitely playing a role in the way these cars are handling tonight.
Yeah, for sure. William Gunn in 5th's got about a 7/10 of a second gap behind Nick DeGroot in 4th, and there's like about a 7/10 of a gap between Taylor Reeves and Matt Wagner as well. So trying to space out just a little bit here. I could definitely see where burning up tires. We have our first driver actually down on pit road. It's going to be Luis Gonzalez Nunez. He is probably pretty close to out of fuel there, being that lead car. Yep, lap 33 here, working on 32, coming to 33. So he's going to be our first guy in, and I think that kind of answers. I think for the most part, they're probably going to have to do, was it 4 stops, I believe? 3 stops every 30 laps or so. 3 additional stops, 4 total stops.
Yes, I believe. Yeah. So basically, yeah, if you try to make it on a 3-stop race, you need to pit basically around lap 32. So basically, from here, Luis would need 2 more stops to get to the end of this race. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that. But right now, of course, with him completing his cycle, he is right now 1 lap down. So now the question will be who's going to be next to blink here. And this is where everybody's going to have to start getting on the radio, start talking to each other. And I think we saw one. Oh, we got a caution. Oh, big wreck.
Big wreck.
And that was exactly the concern for Luis was that right there, as you see William Gunn involved, and I believe it was Dylan McIntosh as well. Wonder if that's maybe a pit entry gone wrong, or there goes Luis just sneaking by there in that 15 machine. Ooh. But we'll go back here and take a look, because I kind of got the feeling I think it may have been an attempted pit stop here. So let's go back and check, because I want to say it might be William Gunn here. So we'll focus on this number 14 machine as he heads into 3 here. And we'll see if he's trying to back it down to get onto pit road. And so these things, again, it's such a treacherous entry here. And yeah, you can see there he makes the left to get down there. And then right there, if you can't complete that little transition there, you're just along for the ride. And there's Jeff Heisong just sneaking by. And then unfortunately, you're going to see a very bright orange car just in the wrong place at the wrong time getting involved there. And so that's going to involve both William and Dylan, which brings us under yellow and right on the fuel mileage window. So unfortunately for Luis, he will get the wave around. He'll get back in the lead lap, but unfortunately all that track position going to be gone for that number 15 machine, as Jari Brupak are going to lead the field onto pit road. Now it's going to be up to these pit crews, see what these guys can get position-wise.
Yeah, we'll see. Definitely unfortunate for sure. I believe William and Dylan are probably going to burn their fast repairs here in order to get back out onto the track, and hopefully no harm, no foul, they can get back to action here. Definitely think that's still going to hurt Luis Gonzalez Nunez a little bit, just from, he's going to probably have 3 laps less of fuel than everyone else. Obviously the caution's going to help quite a bit. But still, unfortunate to have to pit that many laps early. Hopefully he can try and save some fuel here versus the rest of the field. But something to keep an eye on for sure. So we've gone about 35 laps now on fuel, or since they've, lap 35 was when everyone pitted. So it's going to be about 90 laps here to the finish. So we'll see how everyone else can stretch it. I don't think that they're going to be able to stretch, 245 lap stints here without a lot of yellows. So probably still at least 2 more stops here for the rest of the race.
Yeah, you saw right there. I was about to mention right there is I think actually for Luis, his best option probably be to pit here, because he was a lucky dog, so he's gonna have to restart in the back no matter what. So I would say for Luis, might as well duck on here, put a little bit more fuel in that car, kind of like I said, get yourself on cycle, or maybe even a slight advantage on fuel than those around you. So he will unfortunately be at the back of the field here. Dylan McIntosh, he's made his way off of pit road, unfortunately trapped 2 laps down. And then William Gunn still sitting on pit road in that 14. Either might still be towing, not 100% sure, but hopefully he'll get back on track here soon as well. So we'll keep an eye on those guys. However, on the pit stop cycle, Jari Brupak held serve. And right now, also as it stands, is our highest climber in the field, up 8 positions. And then Craig Forsyth up 4 into second, and then Nick DeGroot, Matt Wagner, and Eric Peterson will be our top 5. So I'm going to keep a closer eye here on this number 15 machine of Luis Gonzalez. I kind of feel like if it allows him, if the pits don't close on him, I feel like we should see the 15 come into pit road here. I hope he does as well, because I think this would be in his best interest, because again, he's going to be at the back of the field anyway. There's not a lot to lose. And yeah, the question mark, of course, will be the fuel mileage.
It'd be interesting to see. I feel like some people, then we see, a couple people coming down on pits. Looks like Joseph Morales and Jeff Heisong also as well. So definitely smart of them to come down and top off here on working lap number 37. So they won't have that much more fuel than the guys who are out on the track right now, because everyone's now pitted under yellow, but gives them a little bit more fuel to the end here.
What this does do for these drivers, though, I'm looking at Boomer, as again, we talked about the fuel mileage there around lap number 36, though, with us being now at 38. If they can go 43 laps per stint, now with them being able to fill these things up to where they normally are able to, we saw what Luis was able to, he pitted around lap 33, I want to say it was.
33, yeah.
So 33, that's full rich, leading the race. And then, of course, with maybe about 10% less fuel of whatever that number would have been. So could you get 10 more laps with fuel saving and a little bit more fuel in the tank as well? I like this top-off strategy by Joseph Morales, Jeff Heisong, and especially for Luis. Again, he was going to be in the back anyway, so we'll see. I mean, there's still lots of racing going. Again, it looks like pit stops are going to be the kind of the question mark on these things. So it's going to be up to Jari Brubacher. He's going to lead this field. Again, he's got control here once the pace car's off, which it is. He's got full control here. He is down and away, as everybody else is going to try to get back to the rear wing of that 49 as they head back into turn number 1, start lap 39.
Doing a quick bit of math here. It looks like so he ran 32 laps. Luis Gonzalez Nunez ran 32 laps. 32 coming to 33 is when he pitted. So if you multiply that by 80%, or multiply that by 70% fuel load, or divide it by 70% fuel load, and multiply it by 80% fuel load, it would get you to about 36.5 laps. So not a ton more, but it would be interesting to see. That was again at full rich, running the lead of the pack. So it's definitely going to have to be someone way in the back of the pack if they're going to come even close to stretching it to one more stop. So I think that we're going to see at least 2 more, but there's now a lot more to play with, I think, through the rest of the race to try and do something different, because fitting 2 more pit stops into the last 80 laps or so is a lot more than trying to fit one stop into like 60 laps. So
yeah, and that'll be the questions. How do these drivers, if they say, you know what, we're going to have to make it on 2 stoppers, do they decide, you know what, I'm going to split it evenly? And again, we've seen there is tire fall off, so do we see them kind of go with that tire fall off approach? Or do they say that's too risky with the cautions, I'm just going to run the first one out as far as I can, and then the second one, same thing, just maybe take a splash at the absolute very end. So it's going to be fun to see. Right now, Jari still leads the way in that 49 machine. Again, I'll be keeping a closer eye on lap times, because last time by, Taylor Reeves was right on the edge of the fastest lap of the race. He ran a 25:03, just about a tenth off of that fastest lap. But and that just shows you how important this draft is as well, though, Boomer, because I'm watching Jari right now leading. He had 25:48, and I don't think Yari's backing his pace down. So there's at least a half a second to be gained here, as I think we're seeing the answer about fuel mileage, though, because Taylor Reeves is on a charge right now in that 41 car, and I have a feeling, again, some of these kind of seasoned veterans, if you will, they're watching that fuel number, they say, you know what, I think we can make this happen. And so Taylor Reeves is like, well, you guys go ahead and run your lower pace here, because I'm just going to take the lead of this thing. So I like to have some TV time in my Coast Guard machine.
Yeah, definitely a lot of different options here. We'll see Taylor if he can hold on to this lead here for a while. Obviously, noted that a couple drivers were there were some comers and goers in the pack that were potentially burning off their tires a little more than the rest. So we'll see if Taylor can hold up this pace here. But for now, leading some laps at the front of the field. in that good-looking 41 Coast Guard machine. So always fun to lead laps however you can get them. So I don't blame him for trying to get up front and do something different.
Yeah, no, I'm completely on board with what this 41 is doing right now, because, like I said, the other thing he could be doing too is, again, if you can push that pace just a little bit more, it just makes those guys, they can't back it down as much as they might want to, so it maybe runs themselves out of their own fuel mileage strategy as well. So we've seen it before in various series where these drivers just, they run each other too hard, and it's like, okay, I got to keep up with this guy, that way I can stay in his draft, I can save fuel, but all in the time they don't realize they're actually burning more fuel trying to keep up with that leader. So I like this strategy from Taylor. It's like he can kind of keep the pedal down, and he said, you know what, who knows, if it's going to work, it's going to work. I want to be on the aggressive, I don't want to have to back it down. So I definitely applaud the effort right now for Taylor. And again, we still got over half this race to go, so there's no telling what's going to be the right way to go. Do need to jump around for some of those drivers that did have the wave around. For Luis Gonzalez, he's worked his way back up into 6th here, Boomer, again topping off at lap 37 there after his wave around. And then also back on track are the 04 here of Dylan McIntosh there. 2 laps down, and then 3 down. Sitting right in front of him is the 14 of William Gunn. So all the drivers back on track. Love the fact that they stuck with it, even though unfortunately the race not going their way so far. But definitely love the kind of just the dedication to and commitment to stick with these races, even when things aren't going perfectly. But right now, though, Taylor Reeves, I think he's enjoying life, though, Boomer, because he's got about 0.3 of a second now on Craig Forsyth. Yari Brubacher actually dropping back a few spots. So, like I said, these guys, they're trying to figure out where's kind of the best place to be to try to keep that pace up, but then also try to keep that fuel mileage down.
Yeah, for sure. Trying to see what they can do is almost looks like they're trying to break the draft a little bit there as they come down the front straightaway there, just a little bit of jostling in the back. So definitely going to be harder for Taylor there in the front to save fuel. So I think he's kind of starting to show his hand maybe a little bit just to show that he might try and go for the 3-stop and try to run hard this first stint here. But exciting for sure. We've got a lot of race left here still. We haven't even made it to the halfway point here. So we'll see. I think the other thing that's going to be interesting is to see, if we are going to have another caution under the next green flag pit cycle, because I think the only driver who was able to successfully come down pit road under green was Luis Gonzalez Nunez. I think the second one that attempted it was the 14 that ended up bringing out our caution. But definitely still in the back of these drivers' minds, I have to think about that and have to make sure they're smart on the brakes as they're slowing down, and not brake too hard while the car's kind of unloaded as you come across that seam from the banking to the apron there.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So, and that's the thing, is that it kind of reminds me back of Dover. Obviously, very, very different tracks with very, very difficult pit roads for entry. And so a lot of drivers actually adjusted the pit entry at Dover and decided, you know what, we're going to just pit entering turn number 3 instead of waiting till off of turn number 4, kind of use the backstretch, just take the apron all the way around. So we might even see some drivers say, you know what, I think I need to adjust. I think I need to maybe try to run that apron. It might be a little slower, but I don't have to stress about that banking transition, because that's what happens. These cars, they straddle that line, and then from then on, it's just pretty much all bets are off, and it's near impossible to gather these cars back up right now. But we have going once again. It's these guys second on back. They can't decide where they want to sit. Do they want to sit in second? Do they want to sit in fourth? Do they want to sit in fifth? I mean, we've seen Yari all the way from first to second, then back to about 5th position. Now he climbs himself back up into that 2nd position. So wondering if Yari is kind of just working his strategy on the fly here, maybe, Boomer.
Yeah, he's up 7 positions right now, so he's doing pretty well. Craig Forsyth behind him's up 3. Obviously, Taylor Reeves up 11 positions right now from that 12th starting spot after not qualifying. But yeah, it's interesting to see for sure. You also see Luis Gonzalez Nunez there, kind of peeking back in the top 6, trying to work his way around Matt Wagner as well. Nick DeGroot sitting there in 4th. Craig's Forsyth in 3rd. So. We mentioned a couple times already that this really could be just about anybody's race, and we're still seeing plenty of people make different things happen as we see. Looks like the 6th there, almost passing 2 cars out of the exit of 2 there. That beautiful green-white checkered machine doing some work on that high side.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. I think Matt Wagner is kind of just probably running the numbers, watching things as they go, and said, Yeah, you know what? I want some more track position. He jumps back to the further up there in that number 6 car. Like I said, sitting about 5th or 6th position, jumps up to 3rd now. The one that I've kind of am watching who's just, I think, kind of being sneaky and quiet is Joseph Morales. Again, he topped off as well along with Luis Gonzalez, but he's just been kind of sitting right in this little pocket here, not putting any pressure on, keeping a couple tenths between himself and Nick DeGroot, and just really sitting in a nice little calm spot. And similar to our season opener here, also Jeff Heisong, also pretty much on the same strategy as that number 60. So those are the ones that I really am going to be watching closely. Is going to be the 60 to 18 and also the 15, of course, of Luis Gonzalez. But I do feel like Luis, I think he's trying to step up his aggression here, which will be burning more fuel out of that number 15 machine. So I'm excited to see what the right strategy is going to be here. Again, this is all based on this thing's going green too. Again, we kind of were like, okay, yeah, we'll see how green flag pit stops go. And then there was a spin on the second attempt, which again, it's just pretty much identical to what we saw at Dover. These cars just very, very difficult to get on off a pit road at these fast ovals.
Yeah, definitely difficult for sure. So just about halfway here now, working on, looks like now lap number 60. And probably going to be getting close to fuel stops here within the next 10 to 15 laps or so. So we'll see if anyone's going to tip their hand yet as far as what strategy they're running. Obviously, the 6 of Matt Wagner is going hard right now. He's already made his way to the front, back to the front, I should say. Our pole sitter, as looks like maybe Taylor Reeves under fire here, potentially burning off some of those tires that we mentioned early, and maybe I don't know. We'll have to see if he keeps dropping back just a little bit. Obviously, he was a little bit slower that last lap compared to the rest of our leaders. So, again, making note of the tire wear really being an issue here at Chicagoland, even for these Indy cars.
Yeah, and like I said, and look what Matt's been able to do with this, though. It's that kind of that jockeying for second spot. He's snuck away to about a half a second lead right now in that number 6 car, growing to just about 6 tenths right now as these two continue to run side by side. Of course, they'll gain a little bit of time on him in the straights, but then depending on how they run through the turns here, and you can see again that bad aero wash for the 41, he loses a lot of time there. That lets Luis back by, and then again goes right to about, again, 6 tenths of a second. So as they battle like they are, Matt's just kind of breathing easy, kind of just sitting pretty, really, if you will. Again, probably burning a little bit more fuel, but definitely in a much calmer spot right now than the rest of these guys. But yeah, like I said, though, I mean, we pitted at lap number 35 or so, and we're coming up to lap 63. So I think, like I said, that fuel window probably in about the next 5 or so laps. Again, a little bit more fuel than they had at the beginning of the race, so they can go a little farther than that initial 33 lap stint that we saw out of that 15 of Luis Gonzalez, who's worked his way right back to the rear wing of Matt Wagner. But to me, though, Boomer, the magic number for pit stops, I think, is going to be around lap 86. If anybody can get to about that window, that will be the kind of the telltale they're going to try to one-stop this thing to the end. So, again, I watched the 60 and the 18. I think those are the two that have the best chance of doing so. Again, but we still have lots of pit stops to get to before we get to that point for those drivers possibly saving.
Yeah, for sure. 86, 87 maybe. It's been about 30 laps now since anybody has been on pit road, so we know that just based off of the leaders, Luis Gonzalez's new first run, that he was about 32 laps, so they should be able to run about 36 laps or so. At the front of the pack, obviously, Taylor Reeves and Matt Wagner kind of splitting that duty here in the second run of the race. So we'll see if those guys can stretch it to maybe 37 or 38 laps, but we'll have to wait and see. And like you mentioned, somewhere around like lap 87, 88 would be that go-to number of, if you wanted to do one more stop as of the last yellow flag, last caution, last pit stops. I think that would be the number that you're going to have to get to, and who knows? I think it's still going to be aggressive to make that, but there's still plenty of laps here to see what's going to happen. I would think if anybody's thinking about 2 stops, the window is probably open now for sure to get those 2 more stops made. So see if anybody starts to tip their hand early, or if we just kind of see continue to see the 6 and this 41 battle it out for this lead here.
Yeah, I think it's what we talked about earlier. I think there's just too much fear of a yellow during the pit stop cycle. So I think nobody's really willing to risk that short pit strategy because of just how difficult pit road is here at Chicagoland. If it was a Pocono or an Indianapolis, yeah, I could see the short pit strategy coming into play. But I think, again, whenever you bring that really big banking transition, I think that's where things really kind of get thrown out of whack. So I don't think we'll see anybody short pit at this point. I think everybody's going to go as long as their fuel tanks will allow them to go. And then that's going to be the first moment they duck onto pit road. But like I said, I wouldn't mind seeing someone try to do that short pit strategy, just due to the fact that now that I say that though, these guys have actually been picking up their pace here. Matt was last time by was about a low 25-30s, which is just a couple tenths off of his best lap. So I think those guys may have been sandbagging here a little bit. And speaking of which, though, you gotta be careful not to sandbag too much right now, because Eric Peterson, he's about 8 tenths off of Nick DeGroot right now. And that's not what you want to have. As you see also Jeff Heisung, Joseph Morales, two of those that topped off. They've swapped positions now as Dan Moreira also trying to sneak around that 60. So again, I think maybe, again, we talked about Joseph, maybe back in that pace down in that 60, making sure he can get to that magic lap number 84, 85, 86 range.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I'm actually pleasantly surprised by Taylor Reeves here. I thought that he was kind of starting to, slow down a little bit with the pace and the tires, but doesn't seem to be the case at all. So good on him for jumping up here and taking control of the race and even taking it back from the 6 of Matt Wagner. So he's showing that he's got some pace here tonight, which is always awesome for sure. Getting some great airtime for that 41 machine here at the front of the pack. So we are coming by lap number 72 in the books we're now working on lap number 73. So be interesting to see. Maybe I don't know how close we are to fuel stops here. If you wanted to do a through the field, or maybe wait for after the pit stops here, Gael.
Yeah, I think we want to probably wait till after pit stops. I think it's pretty much any time now. I think it's been about 35 laps since they last pitted, so that window should be very, very soon now. Again, everybody pitting around 35 to 37 range, so basically us being at 74 right now, I mean, we're pretty much sitting on just about 40 laps on fuel. And I'm watching, there's Taylor's, and there's their answer right there. He's going to do the apron entry into 3. And so he's got to make sure he woes it down just enough. He's still going to get loose. What a save. Unfortunately, it's going to cost him a lot of time. But so there's our answer, though. Even taking the apron into 3, maybe not the safest approach. Still a little bit sketchy. So that's our first taker, though.
I still think that's way better than, coming off the apron. So, William Gunn goes off track here. It looks like back in the pack. I'm not sure what exactly happened.
Let's go back. We'll take a look real quick at Williams, see what happened to him in the 14. And, that just snaps on him on the entry there.
Wow, that was really weird. Okay.
So, as I say that, it looks like I think he's sliding again. He's down and around here. As on the apron, though, he's going to loop it around. Hopefully stays pointed the right direction. Ken mentioned that I believe Taylor Reeves is back on track as Matt Wagner continues to lead. So it's all starting to kick off here, though, Boomer, during the pit stop cycle. Can confirm William has made it to pit road, though. Down? Yeah, that's the 14.
Was that William? Okay, yep, sorry.
So, but right now, though, Boomer, again, we talked about lap 86 is kind of my magic number. We're about 10 away from that. How close can these drivers get to that number? Because I think the more you save now, the better it's going to be later. So, because if you have to pit early now and try to make it to the end, you have to really back down your pace. Yeah. So, and these guys...
It would be over 48-ish laps. I know we've been kind of throwing a few numbers around there from like 84 to 87, but... that would almost be like 37 to 40 laps on this stint to go the rest of the way. I think that would be a long time for these guys to try and save that much fuel, but we'll see. Who knows? Maybe everyone except for Taylor was trying to save enough fuel to make it happen. But I think we're going to see here the 6 is actually going to come down on pit road. A beautiful pit entry for the 6 here as long as he gets slowed up. That looked picture perfect, from that number 6 Matt Wagner. Dylan McIntosh looks like he's just made it onto pit road as well. Nice clean entry there as well. So there's our second, I should say, of our leaders to hit pit road. Exactly. We were saying on this last green flag cycle here, Matt Wagner and Taylor Reeves were kind of splitting the duties of leading that front pack, so they would definitely be the ones who we would expect to have to pit first, although we do see Jari Brupacher coming in now as he actually locks up a little bit, but a pretty solid pit entry there for him. Saw him practicing that a few times in practice there, getting it perfect for the race, and yeah, he's going to come down, get his service. Craig Forsyth is going to pick up our lead here as we see him. He's now followed by Luis Gonzalez-Nunez and Nick DeGroot, Eric Peterson, and Jeff Hysong in the top 5. Expect most of these guys to probably start to come here within the next 5 laps or so. But it'll be interesting to see. We've only had 3 drivers on the lead lap now come to pit road: Yari, Matt Wagner, and Taylor Reeves. So they are trapped 1 lap down right now. But we'll see if everyone can make their way to the pits cleanly under the green flag run.
Yeah, so right now watching Matt Wagner, he's going to swing around Yari on the pit exit. As Luis Gonzalez-Nunez, actually, he's hitting pit road, as is Craig Forsyth.
That's a slide.
Yeah, but he decided, you know what? He knew he wasn't going to make it. He decided he's going to just try to roll back on track. But now, does he have the fuel to go one extra lap? Unfortunately, losing a ton of track position. But now, here's the battle, though, Boomer, because now, again, we're only on 82. I still think 86 is how far you have to get. And so you've still got about 5 drivers here that have yet to pit.
Yeah, so that Craig Forsyth was the one who slid, and then Luis Gonzalez-Nunez kind of aborted his pit run there. So unfortunately for Luis, that really messed him up because he had to take another lap, not at full race pace. So unfortunately for him, I think that's really going to screw the 15 of Luis Gonzalez-Nunez. But Craig Forsyth is now down and away and got his pit stop done, and he's going to come back out. Looks like Dan Morera and Joseph Morales came down this time, and now here's the rest of the field. Okay.
So this is coming to 84, Boomer. I don't think this is enough to make it to the end. Again, my magic number was 86. So on my numbers, I do not think anybody can make it to the end. So we're going to have to wait for everybody to cycle through, because this is going to get very interesting to see where drivers cycle out along with one another. And, oh, man, there's Luis. He's still, contact with me and Eric Peterson.
Contact with Eric Peterson. Wow.
He wasn't quite in his pit stall there, unfortunately. So there was a contact box, unfortunately. So they make contact, probably both having to use a fast repair with that. And unfortunately for Eric, it's going to cost him just a couple of extra seconds. Oh, and Luis, I think that's just frustration now getting to that 15. He's going to loop it back around, get gear going again. But that's going to complete our pit stop cycle. As right now, Nick DeGroot was our leader. Now switch Matt Wagner again. Matt pitted earlier, and he is going to break this lead by about, we'll see, he's got about 0.8 of a second on Yari. Nick DeGroot now going to try to do everything he can to hold that toe of Yari Brubacher. So this is going to be kind of touch and go for these guys, where the draft is and where they can hold on to each other. But right now, leading after our pit cycle is that number 6 machine.
Yeah, definitely. So he actually went about, about 41, 42 laps. So definitely going to be cutting it close here. Last pitting at lap 78. I don't think that Matt Wagner is going to go 47 laps to the finish, I think. So unfortunately, I don't think he's going to get there all the way. Obviously we've been throwing a lot of numbers around, so if we're doing our math wrong, someone please correct us. But definitely, Matt Wagner and Yuri Brubacher pitting last on lap 78 and 79. They're going to have to save a lot more fuel than the number 89 machine of Nick DeGroot here, who is in 3rd place, who pitted last at lap 83 there. So interesting to see a little bit of a difference in strategy, but our 3 leaders here kind of on their own island, I should say, here, is Nick DeGroot actually just ran the fastest lap of the race, a 24.90, excuse me, as he's going to try and put the pedal to the floor. And 3 wide, here we go into turn number 3. He's going to take the spot all by himself. Yari Brubacher promoted to 2nd, and Matt Wagner still sitting in 3rd, with Craig Forsyth now jumping up to try and grab that 3rd spot from the 6th machine. Yeah, and also connection issue. That's what I was going to say. Where'd Matt go? And also a great pit stop. I got to mention Joseph Morales. He pitted on lap 82, just 1 lap before Nick DeGroot, and he is in this main pack as well. So right now it's pretty much a 5-car breakaway, because in the 6th spot is Jeff Hysong, but he's about 1.6 seconds out. So he's on the absolute edge of regaining that draft here. So and like I said, so I was doing some quick math for Matt Wagner pitting at lap number 78. He would have to go 47 laps to get to the end. So then you go Nick DeGroot, who went about 5 laps further. He would have to go 42 laps to get to the finish. But I think kind of our questions are going to be answered with the fact that Nick's running up front here, leading laps. To me, that says I'm not even thinking about 42 laps on fuel. I just want to have that track position now. So this is going to be good to see how it all shakes out. Jeff Hysong, though, is closing the gap here, Boomer. 25.09 compared to 25.68 for Nick. So that 5-car draft's about to become a 6-car draft.
But also add William Gunn to the mix in this pack as well. To say he is a couple laps down, but was able to also do great pit stop cycles to get right back out with the leaders. So that's what you want to have when you're even if your lap's down, you want to try to get those in and out laps. And so he's able to get back to the leaders here.
Yeah, for sure. And who knows, he could potentially try and jump in front of Nick DeGroot here, our leader, to try and get one lap back the hard way. So there's definitely still something to fight for in that number 14 machine, sitting looks like 6th in the track position right now. But obviously, you mentioned he's currently in 12th position, 4 laps down. So but yeah, I mean, that definitely, you mentioned Joseph Morales with a great stop there. Very clean, has had a very quiet night so far, but just kind of, making his way up into the top 5 here in the closing stage of the race, probably about the last quarter of the race here to go. Definitely excited to see him up there. Matt Wagner's running really well in 3rd. Jared Brubacher up 7 positions now in 2nd place, so poised to have a really good night for those guys so far, though we do still have one more pit stop that we believe we're going to have to make. I think if some of these guys in the mid-pack, maybe like, so even Joseph Morales, Craig Forsyth, Jeff Heisong, kind of in the, the guys that aren't currently running full throttle or don't have to run full throttle in the draft here, may have that chance to stretch those extra laps, but it's going to be tight for sure. As we got a nice pit stop strategy graphic up here on the screen. That's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, trying to work the numbers here because I'm looking again to see how far some of these drivers went over the green flag pit stop window, and if my numbers are right, with Nick pitting at 35 and then pitting at 83, that's actually 48 laps that he was able to make on fuel. And I had mentioned that number for earlier, where maybe Nick would have to go about 43 laps on fuel, if I remember right, for the final stint. Is this actually maybe he's the reason why he's driving aggressive now is because maybe he is in his window to make it to the end here? It's very intriguing. So I'm very curious now to see, maybe this is why Nick's decided to pick up the pace and kind of control this thing up front. So and then knowing he has the fuel advantage over Jari Brubacher by 4 laps, 5 laps over Matt Wagner, and then again just the 1 lap over Craig Forsyth. As soon as I say that, here comes Matt. He's going to jump to the outside of that number 49 machine, and he's also going to bring that 60 of Joseph Morales right along with him here. So this is getting intriguing. And the other question I was going to mention, Boomer, before I started pulling up the fuel numbers, if we do have to make this late pit stop here, again, we talk about how sketchy these cars are getting on and off pit road. You won't need a lot of fuel. Is it worth just trying to take a splash of fuel, no tires? But again, knowing how greasy those tires might be on that pit exit.
Yeah, definitely. I would think that you would always want to have fresh tires, especially after like 2 laps into the run versus not pitting at all, or not taking tires when you pit at all. So, but it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised by this, because if you just did just some quick math of 70% fuel load for the 33 laps that Luis Gonzalez Nunez had on his first stop. That shows, that would be, for an 80% fuel load would put it around like 37, 38 laps. So definitely interesting that, with more fuel in the tank, these guys are probably able to save a little bit more over that, that longer fuel run. So definitely not a linear model there, if you will, giving them a chance to save more fuel as you put more into the car. So I would think with those updated numbers, we might actually get a chance to see some of these guys go all the way to the end. Obviously, Matt Wagner still has to go 47 laps, which is still quite a ways here to the finish. But with the way they're running, I don't think they're worried about it at all.
Yeah, this is very interesting. The other thing to mention, that I think that's another big storyline, is we talk about when these drivers pitted. Now you got Joseph Morales actually up in the 2nd position. So again, he only pitted 1 lap earlier than Nick DeGroot. So I mean, realistically, he's not in a bad shape in fuel either. Like I said, he's got 4 laps to the good over Matt Wagner. So he's right now kind of in that first position where maybe if that 6 has to make a late race pit stop, if Joseph can hold on that track position, if we get down to those final 5-10 laps here and that 6 has to peel off, Joseph, again, we talked about, is still, you can make the outside work, but it's hard to pass. So maybe Joseph just kind of lives on that white line and has to make these guys work the hard way around him. Maybe grabs a big win here tonight at Chicagoland. So a lot that can be happening here, a lot to play for. You see Jari Brubacher makes a big move on Nick DeGroot. He jumps up now into 3rd. So at this point, honestly, like any fuel numbers and notes I have, I'm pretty much just tossing them out because I really at this point I have no clue. This is very interesting to kind of just I think we're just guessing really right now, Boomer.
Right. As an engineer by trade, I should be better at doing the numbers here, but math not a strong suit when I'm not being paid to do it, I guess. But no, yeah, it's interesting to see for sure. I mean, these guys know what their numbers are. Obviously they can see in the car how much fuel they have left, and iRacing obviously gives them a an updated number of how many laps they will have left. So you could definitely play with it. You kind of have to do a little bit of math in the Chris chiming in, anybody's guess. Yes, it is definitely anybody's guess. They can see how much fuel they have left in the car at all times, and it gives them an estimated how many laps to go to the finish. So you can play with that a little bit. Obviously with the Indy cars, it's even better because you have those opportunities to run, the different the fuel maps. To run either 8 is full rich, full go time, and there's a couple others where you can save a little bit of fuel based on that as well. So definitely. They definitely have some bit of that to play with in the car and try to do something different to make us to prove us wrong, at least in our quick fuel calculations.
Yeah,
exactly. We don't have access.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So we'll pull up on board here. You see the steering wheel of Matt Wagner, and so of course you see lots of buttons and knobs and things you can play with. But in this, you can look at the fuel remaining. So you see right there, obviously for us it shows 0. That's not what Matt sees though. So for him, he's able to watch every lap. They'll say, okay, this is the fuel remaining I have now. Okay, let me see what it is at the line. Okay, it's this. You can do some quick math. Say, okay, I'm burning. This is how much fuel I'm burning per lap. So for Matt, for all these guys, that's what they're going to be looking at. Of course, also in iRacing, with this being a simulation, you've got programs you can use. They've got crew chief apps. You've got sim racing apps where you can use as well. Lots of little fun tools and features. They have built-in fuel calculators. They say, okay, when you're running at your hardest, this is how far you can go on fuel. These last 2 laps, when you're following, let's say, the 60 of Joseph Morales, this is how much fuel you're burning. So you say, okay, if I run that same number that I ran those last 2 laps, I can make it to the end. So, and the other thing that's got to mention here, Boomer, though, with all what's going on here, right here with the pace backing down, it feels like, look at this. You got Taylor Reeves is back, Eric Peterson's back, Dan Morera, they're back in the mix now. So you've got 9 of our lead lap drivers all back in this main pack once more. Unfortunately, the one we lost in the pit cycle was Luis Gonzalez. Like I said, unfortunately, having to try to avoid the 27 there, had that little bobble, and that cost him he ran himself out of fuel, still sitting 1 lap down in that 15 car, just hoping for that yellow to bring himself to give him another chance in this race.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolute heartbreak for Luis. I mean, he's ran really, really well in quite a few races as of late, and it's definitely unfortunate to see him there trapped a lap down. I mean, he got messed up on the first pit cycle from the caution that came out from William Gunn. Nothing of his own doing. He just happened to be the only guy who had pitted, put him back in the field, and then when he comes down to pit road for his second stop, obviously Craig Forsyth gets loose and he has to abandon his pit stop there. So, I mean, hard luck for sure. I definitely feel for Luis. That's not fun. He's kind of put in some bad situations tonight, and it's not a fun thing to have to deal with that adversity all night long. But hopefully he can bounce back here in the coming weeks.
Yeah, so this might be one of those ones where you're just like, you know what, I'm just putting this one behind. It never happens. We're just going on to next week. So, but that's being said, Boomer, it's getting down to it here. I say things have been pretty calm for the last couple, I'd say 10, 15 laps or so. But we're down to it, 15 to go. Matt Wagner still leads. But again, I think these guys are they're starting to kind of pull their cards out, if you will. It's like kind of playing that poker that they've been doing. I think that's about to go out the window, and these guys are about to show what their hands are. So it's going to be fun to see. Like I said, right now, it's anybody's guess, like Chris mentioned. And also, you got some questions from Chris. Wanting to know what type of engineer you are. So I don't know if you're allowed to spill the beans on that one too much.
Sure.
But
Yeah, just a mechanical engineer. I went to school in Michigan Tech up in the Upper Peninsula and got my mechanical engineering degree. I used to work for an automotive company where we designed electric power steering units, but my wife got a job in Tennessee, so we actually just moved, and that's why I've been absent for a couple weeks here. So, but I'm back, and I've got a new job down here. We'll be doing some pneumatic valves and stuff like that. So, not too much fun to talk about. Some of the vehicle stuff we did at my previous job was a little bit cooler, but mechanical engineer, and I really enjoy what I do, at least. But that's kind of where the tie into racing has always come from. Always loved cars, always loved working on cars, and obviously love watching things go really, really fast and then figure out how to make them really, really fast. So lots of fun.
And Ken mentioned also the 41 Taylor Reeves. He has hit pit road on lap 111, so that's one of those leaders that had to finally hit pit road. They're coming, like I said, about 13-14 go. Actually got a little smoke on pit exit there, but it looks like everything's still okay. So whatever that moment was, it's already been cleared. So still under green here. Next time by will be 11, and then we'll be down to 10 to go. And the big thing to mention here, Boomer, of course, also no green, white, checkered. So again, if we get a late yellow, let's say with like 4 to go or so, maybe even somewhere in that range, this race may not restart. So these guys, again, they're going to have to start getting greedy, and I think that's what we're seeing. Craig Forsyth, he's starting to try to creep up there. You see Yari got around Joseph Morales, so everybody's starting to try to show their hands here. So again, Matt Wagner, he's just been leading this thing. I don't know if he's got the fuel number. Maybe he's banking on that really late yellow where he can just then kind of turn it to fuel map 8, save all the fuel you can. And you mentioned the fuel maps. Yeah, so you got 1 through 5 are pretty much your race maps. 1 full ridge, 5 full lean, 7, 8 road course maps, and then 8 is the caution map where you can basically just run that thing where it's almost just super leaned out. So, but right now, Boomer, we're down to it. We're going to hit single digits next time by. And yeah, this is getting intriguing, and like I said, I really don't know right now who has the field numbers to make it, if anybody does. But like you said, the way they're racing, I think at this point almost feels like all 6 or 7 of them have the mileage to make it.
Yeah, they're definitely racing as if they've got their last stop underway. We'll see as it does look like the 6 is going to actually run out of fuel there and come down. So something I was noticing, Nick de Groot hasn't been pushing really hard at all until now. He was actually back in 6th place about 3 laps ago. Now he's kind of working the outside. So we definitely are seeing Matt's going to have to come down to pit road here to get enough fuel to finish the race. So we'll see. Now with that information, I think it's going to be really tight for these guys to go to the finish, and Nick de Groot might have to be the guy that gets it done. If he can stay out, he'll definitely be, I think, our race winner. But Craig Forsyth only pitted 2 laps behind him, and Jeff Heisong pitted lap 83 as well as Nick de Groot, and Eric Peterson also lap 83. So we'll see if the rest of these guys have the fuel that it takes to get to the rest of the way. Ziari's ducking low. I don't know if he's trying to come in this time or just kind of wiggle it on the backstretch, but he is currently at the point running on that inside line, trying to protect that lead from the 89 of Nick de Groot, who now is to his outside.
Yeah, I think Yari's going to protect the inside line. Here comes Jeff Heisong again, our season opener winner, running the 3rd lane in that 18 car. And like I said, Craig Forsyth's right there. Eric Peterson's right in this. And like you mentioned, Eric Peterson, Nick de Groot, Jeff Heisong, they all pitted that same lap. So right now, so far, no blink out of Yari. He's going to keep going. Oh, but he gives up the bottom. Nick's going to cut underneath. A big move by Nick, able to get the over-unders. We get to 5 to go here. Again, no green, white, checkered, so this is going to be the battle potentially for the win here if there's a late yellow, which we hope there isn't. We want to see these guys race it out, but Nick put himself in a great spot. And here comes Yari. He's going to try to take that momentum, slingshot back to the outside, but can't do it yet. Nick's going to continue to lead the way here as Yari's actually looks like that pace is starting to back down. He's going to hit pit road here. Yep, late stop for 49. Overshoots it. He's going to have to get back on the gas there. So we stay green, though. But now, look at Nick, though. He had a big margin there by about 2/10. This is going to give Craig a lot of momentum here out of turn 2.
Yeah, for sure. That's unfortunate for Yari because I think he's probably going to run on the field. He's coming down the lane, but we're going to see a big draft for the 27 on the outside into turn number 3 with 4 laps to go. And Jeff Heisong still trying to make that outside 3rd lane go, and he's going to be, looks like to the outside of Craig here, try and see if he can make something happen, but still on the point there is the 89 of Nick de Groot as he is going to continue to lead laps here late in this race, trying to get it done as Matt Wagner is, or no, that wasn't Matt Wagner, someone was slow coming, Yari Brubacher was slow coming off of the pit road there, so unfortunate for him. Looks like he's going to come back out in about 7th or 8th place in front of Matt Wagner, but we got a very, very tight battle here as Jeff Heisong is going to try and get around Craig Forsyth for that 2nd position here at the front of this pack.
Yeah, right now Nick's kind of working both lanes, kind of keeping them both in the dirty air at the wrong times for each other. You saw right there, Craig had bad aero watch. Now the 18 able to clear. We're at 2 to go, so if they can get to the white from then on, it will be a race to the finish. So the question is, did everybody plan their fuel numbers right? Did they save enough fuel to make it this final lap? Because we will get there, Boomer. 1 to go here at Chicagoland. Here comes Jeff Heisong. He's going to jump to the outside.
we got a wreck in the back. I don't know if it's going to cause a caution or
Nope.
not.
Yeah, they took the white, so we
white flag. Okay, so here we go. So Jeff Heisong's around the outside. He's going to try and make it happen on the outside of Nick DeGroot. Our 2 race winners for the season. Looks like we're not going to have a repeat winner if someone can make something else happen, but Nick DeGroot strong on the inside lane. We'll see them come off a turn number 4. Oh, with a slow car in the way, Nick DeGroot is going to take the checkered flag in front of Jeff Heisong. Craig Forsyth in 3rd, Eric Peterson in 4th, and a great run for Joseph Morales in 5th place there.
Yeah, Joseph able to get the fuel. Actually, no, he's still limping around here. He didn't.
Oh, he is still limping around.
However, I'm still looking to see where he is. I think he's still going to finish 5th here, though, because everybody else was a lap down. Yeah, so
exactly. Yeah, so he can still get back to the line.
Coast it, get the 5th top 5 here out of the 60. Great job by Joseph Morales. And then but Nick DeGroot, and he's gonna spoil it. He's gonna have fuel. Looks like for burnout too, just to kind of add a little bit of fuel to the flame here. It's like, yeah, I had fuel, guys. Don't worry, I got this.
Are you sure?
Oh, never mind.
No, he may not. So, yeah. So sorry. Apologies to take the focus away from the action there at the end of the race. But wow, what a battle on that last lap. Jeff Heisong looked like a moment there. He was gonna actually have enough to try and get around the outside. But looks like we're gonna pull up a replay here.
Yeah, let's see what happened to Dan Morera here. Because we saw him. Oh, it looks like a late pit stop, possibly.
Been out of gas.
Was it actually? Yeah, is this coming out of 2 or is this out of 4?
That's out of 4. Yeah, it's out of 4.
Yeah, something happened to Dan there.
So he was slow and.
Oh, I wonder if something else happened. That we won't make any assumptions, but that looked a little odd to me.
Yeah, different.
But yeah, so then Dan is saying this is where things got a little wild because again, leaders are coming through to try to take the checkered flag here. So you see he's gonna grab a gear, get back going, and here comes the leader to take the checkered there, and a blur as they swing on by there. But yeah, Nick DeGroot though able to edge out Jeff Heisong and Craig Forsyth for those top 3, and then like I said, Eric Peterson holding right there in 4th as well. So. With that, let's go find our top 3 finishers, kicking off with that number 27 of Craig Forsyth.
Bring him up here in just a second to get an interview with Craig Forsyth in the number 27 machine, our 3rd place finisher for tonight.
All right, Craig. So how skeptical were you about fuel this whole race? Because, Boomer and I are like, okay, these guys have it, and you know what? I don't know if they do have it. And then another about 10, 15 laps later is like, yeah, you know what? I think they do have it. How difficult was it to try to run this fuel number? It looked like, because again, the timing of that one yellow, it really just kind of seems like it fell right on that fuel mileage edge and that knife edge, if you will. And it seems like it was definitely right on the edge of making it there. Were you pretty much commit from lap 1 or restart lap 1, I guess you could say, to the end there to be able to make it on the 2-stop or 1-stop, or how difficult was it for you?
No, yeah, Dan and I, right from the get-go, we had already calculated out that we were going to do the 2-stop. Once you're in traffic and drop the fuel map down, it was an easy number to make. It's just you had to make. You wanted to be lap 38 on your first stint, just so that the next 2 stints were easier. And unfortunately, that first caution was just a bit too early. And I knew that I was going to be super tight on fuel, and I got a little too focused on keeping up with Taylor. I think it was Taylor in the second stint there. And I knew Nick had dropped back to do more fuel saving, and I did not realize how terribly tight I was cutting it. And I had to do the entire 3rd stint on map 8 until the last about 15 or so laps, and that I ran out crossing the line. It was very touchy.
Yeah, man, that was definitely a bit of a crazy race for fuel strategy. Definitely saw a lot of guys really pushing to stretch it as as that race went on after that early caution. But you were just about everybody, I think you included, were up at the front of the pack and the back. Not a huge field tonight, not a big field. So kind of gives you that chance to move around, and it seemed like there's a little bit of a chaos, and just about everyone was probably in just about any position at any time. But take us through kind of settling in through some of that chaos and getting to the finish and pushing hard at the end.
Oh, I slid side. My pit entry was not pretty. That's for sure. I think Louise got caught in. I think I pitted, and then through the smoke, I think that's where he had trouble pitting. Was I put on a smoke show trying to get the car wood down. That's it's a tricky pit entry if you try and do it quick, and it's really easy to miss. And then you've got about half a second, well, a tenth of a second to decide: are you going to make pit entry or are you going to bail out of it? So it was a good night. I'll take third for here. First would have been nice, but I will take it. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was a great result, Craig. And like I said, you guys had your game plan from the green flag, and like I said, the timing of that first yellow just kind of threw things a little bit out of whack. But so you guys doing what you do best, able to make the fuel numbers to the end, even if you were sputtering at the very last moment there. So, I mean, a great job for getting that podium here tonight. Like I said, definitely a tough one, even with the reduced field, a very tough one for you guys this evening for sure. So, definitely want to give you the floor for any thanks and shouts for that podium this evening.
I got to thank Jim over at 40 Racewear and my teammate Dan. I mean, Jim's been busy recently and can't be making a lot of the races, but I know he's still watching. So, and is a good sponsor for the league. And I know your dad Jim Brooks, he's watching tonight, and it was good to chat with him before the race was going on. So it's good to see that he's in high spirits, and you guys over at Green White Checker, and it's nice to get on the podium. It's nice to be in a league with guys that can joke mid race about people having connection issues and things, and not get all wound up about it. It's just having a good time.
Yeah, and we definitely saw a little bit of that as well, which actually be the next person we chat with there. So, yeah, great job though tonight, Craig, and looking forward to see what you got for these guys next week, sir.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, Boomer. Stay safe.
Right. Thank you, Craig. As we will pull up our next driver to interview tonight, that will be the 18 machine of Jeff Heisong. We'll pull him up here in just a second.
Yeah, get our runner up tonight. And saying Craig kind of mentioned it going into Boomer, so able to joke around about connection issues and things like that, and that was what you had right off the bat. There's two of you. I think it was yourself, and then I think Dan. There was a little bit of connectivity issues at the beginning, and we saw you drop to the apron, roll to the back there, and kind of let things settle in. I mean, of course it's early in the race, but I mean, how tough is that as a competitor to know you're like, okay, I have this track position. I got to give all of it back up. Even again, it's a smaller field time with the 12 drivers, but to give up the track position, sitting in about the fifth or so position, and then have to then be like, okay, well now I got to work my way back up there to the end. I mean, how do you kind of balance that kind of the competitor inside you versus the like, okay, this is a kind of a league where buddies and all that, and so do what you got to do to kind of keep everybody else happy.
Yeah, I mean, they said I was blinking. I looked up and I could see my connection bar was going crazy, so I immediately just dropped to the bottom. I don't want to be in anybody's way while I'm blinking or having any type of connection issues. So I knew if I just go to the back and ride there, I can hopefully pray and things will level out. Thankfully, they did.
Yeah, definitely. Unfortunate to drop back for sure, but towards the race, obviously, saw you coming, in and out of the field, up and down, I should say. Definitely towards the end there, it looked like you seemed to kind of hit your fuel number and really started to push hard at the very end. Were you saving quite a bit up until that last like maybe 10 or 15 laps or so in that final stint?
So yeah, it was mega save till probably I could have probably went at about 15 to go now looking back at it, but going at 10 to go is the right number. I had what I needed to get there, and then it was just basically gloves off and see who could get across that line first.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun watching you. You were making big moves, and then I think the part that probably caught all of your guys' attention there was coming to the checkered. You're coming out for four. You're kind of planning. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do to Nick. And then you see a car kind of trying to get back up to speed after an accident there on the white flag lap. I mean, was that even something you were able to see, or were you so focused on Nick that you didn't even have a chance to see that car kind of pop up in your frame of view there?
Yeah, it's funny because we actually, before the race, we were doing practice, and I mean, we did about 30 laps, and it was just back and forth to the line every single time, and it was kind of like, all right, this is what you have to do to hopefully have a chance if you're the second car. And then, coming off 4, I saw that car in the middle of the track, and I mean, I just knew that was going to be it. I let him just go on, and I mean, I'll just take second. That's not bad at all tonight with what was going on.
Yeah, great result. Like you said, you got the win at the beginning of the year. A couple podiums, I believe. Now another runner-up here tonight. So I mean, it's still been a really good season. Just to say, unfortunately, the guy you're trying to chase down in points is got that top spot once more. So, so you're going to have to step up just a little bit more. I mean, I know you're going for all of it here and there. Like I said, you're not just giving him those wins. So he's a very, very tough competitor in that number 89 machine. But again, a great result once again here, Jeff. And definitely want to give you the floor for thanks and shout outs for that runner-up position tonight.
Shout out to Craig on the podium, and then Nick on another amazing win. I mean, he's just out of this world when it comes to these races. Big shout out to the family. Love you guys. My son who's waiting for me at football practice. I'll be there in a few minutes. And you guys for the great work you do. Every time I watch it back, it's an absolute blast.
Good deal. Well, congratulations again, and don't leave the kid hanging. Go pick him up and have a great rest of your night, Jeff.
All right, guys, you have a good night.
All right.
Yeah, I can just imagine that right there, Boomer. His kids watching Green White Checker TV. They're like, all right, Dad, come on, finish the interview. All right, get to the car, let's go.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that does leave us with one more driver here to interview. So we'll bring him up here just a second. This number 89 machine. Been getting used to winning quite a bit lately, huh, Gael, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's this certain driver. I don't know if he's ever had an interview before, so hopefully he's able to kind of remember his sponsors and all those things tonight. But yeah, Nick DeGroot getting another win here tonight. But man, it wasn't again. I mean, we learned from 2 weeks ago the fuel mileage could come into play. You made the adjustments at Dover, and then once again at Pocono you made the adjustments, and then once again here tonight when we saw you're like, okay, you're running a fuel number there, and then once we saw you kind of jump to the front there, it's like, okay, he must be good on the fuel number there, but we were joking, it's like, he's got some in the tank, he's going to be able to do a burnout, and then you pretty much park at the line, and that looks like that was all she wrote on the motor side of things. So I mean, how close did you have that fuel number to the flag dialed in there tonight?
Yeah, you guys know I hate fuel mileage races by now, but we were put in a very interesting position because being a pack race, you could really save a lot of fuel. When I first was looking at the laps, I was like, no, this isn't going to be a fuel mileage race, but with how much you could save behind somebody using fuel map 5, you could really cut out that stop if you went hard on the fuel save. So that was our plan, and looks like it was the plan of a lot of other people too, because nobody wanted to lead. And towards the end of that thing there, I was itching to go because, you know, once you get out front here, it's so hard to pass the leader, especially when they're hooking the bottom. And I was getting nervous when Craig passed me, when Jeff passed me. I'm like, I think I've lost my opportunity here at a win. But as much as I wanted to go, I'm like, nope, haven't hit my number yet. Can't go until I hit that number. And leading after that first pit stop probably put me a little bit behind those guys. But the moment we hit that number, I was gone. I was going for it. And thankfully it worked out. Got through Craig, got through Jeff, got by Yari, and then he had to pit. And Matt, of course, had to pit and just held the bottom and hung on, cranked the weight jacker up to 11 and tried to avoid the car parked in the front straightaway. It all worked out.
Yeah, that was a little crazy for sure, but yeah, definitely not we've seen you kind of step in and really dominate or lead most of the race at times. Not necessarily the case tonight. Obviously you mentioned you led a handful of laps there after that first pit stop, and really looked like, I think it was like lap 8 with 8 to go, Matt Wagner came down pit road. I believe you were sitting in 6th place. And by the time we got back around to the start finish line, I think you were already up to 3rd. So you could definitely tell it was pretty much go time, like you said, once you hit that fuel number.
Yeah, and it was going to be all about who hit who got the lead first of us who could make it. And I thought that was Yari. I thought Yari had that race, and turns out he was a couple laps shy. So I got the lead, and at that point is just defending the run against Jeff and Craig and trying to keep them side by side like I did. But it was funny once once Jeff got up into 2nd, I was thinking back to practice because I did like 10, 15, maybe 20 laps going back and forth with Jeff, and we're both practicing all the different ways to beat someone coming to the line. And lo and behold, it's me and Jeff right at the finish. So I was a little nervous about that because the times we were practicing, they got really close. But yeah, then that lap car got in the way, and that was all she wrote. We got the win, so it's pretty cool to get 3 in a row. I think I've only done that once before, a few seasons ago, when Henry was still racing with us. I opened the season up with 3 straight wins. Lost the championship that year, though, so Doesn't mean it's over by any stretch of imagination.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're definitely you know, I mean, 3 wins already this season is pretty impressive. I know I think this is I wanted to ask, is this you're going for your 3rd championship in a row in the series here? Is that correct?
Yep, 3rd in a row, trying to match Henry's record.
Yeah, crazy for sure. But yeah, man, you've been on fire to start it here, and obviously we see on the replay here, stopping at the start finish line. I didn't quite have enough fuel to do a burnout for us. But yeah, yeah, but yeah, just enough to at least get back to the start finish line and park it there for a nice photo for the end of the race. But yeah, man. Congratulations to that first place finish. I want to give you a chance to open the floor and give any thanks and shout outs for that 3rd win in a row here at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, great way to start the season. 3 wins in the first 4 races.
Congrats again, Nick. Yeah, go enjoy this one, man. Looking forward to seeing what you got the rest of the way. But so we're going to be pulling out a ringer here from the booth, though. We're going to get Chris Matthews on these cars. So he's kind of downplaying his abilities, not knowing what weight jackers do and all that. But so we're going to throw one more at you to give yourself some more difficulty. So enjoy this one, though, man. Look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you, guys. More the merrier.
All right, Boomer, that is our race winner in that number 89 machine of Nick DeGroot. And so with that, we got to pull up our final results. Again, it'll be a pretty quick run through. Again, 12 drivers taking part in tonight. But what is fun, though, is I get to play with some adjustments I made over the kind of the week off we had here. As you can see, able to get all the drivers there. Kind of got the ticker up top, then you got the official results right below with Nick DeGroot over Jeff Highsong by just over 0.5 of a second. Then Craig Forsyth and Eric Peterson right in tow. And then again, Joseph Morales just had enough fuel there to make that thing back to the line, but importantly stayed in the lead lap, stayed in the top 5. Then Dan Marrero, that late incident, still winds up finishing in 6th somehow. Gary Brubacher, Taylor Reeves, and unfortunately another tough night for Matt Wagner there, involved in that late incident as well in 9th. And like you mentioned, Luis Gonzalez-Nunez just was not his night in the top 10. And Dylan McIntosh, William Gunn there, 11th and 12th. And unfortunately, hardware issues for Charles Teed, wasn't able to get on track tonight, will be scored in the 13th position.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a heartbreaker for some of the drivers tonight. I mean, definitely thinking about Louise. That's so many things that happen well beyond his control. Unfortunately, not able to manage that and bounce back. Ended up being I think 3 laps down at the finish. And those guys, Dan Marrero, Yari Brubacher, Taylor Reeves, and Matt Wagner, who didn't have enough fuel to get to the end. Unfortunately, just weren't able to save enough fuel. But it was a fun battle for sure, as we watched the likes of Nick DeGroot, Jeff Highsong, Craig Forsyth really come alive in those last 10 laps or so. That was an exciting run to the finish that we had tonight, Gael.
Yeah, it was a great race there to the end, and it's been definitely a fuel mileage run the last couple of nights. Next week we're going to be at a very intriguing one. It's going to be Worldwide Technology Raceway, aka Gateway. 2 very distinct turns through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So and then some long straightaways to kind of compete with those turns. So that's going to be fun to see who's going to be able to kind of edge out the win over there. And also a very difficult pit road entry and exit. So that's going to be one of these drivers going to definitely have to be putting some extra laps in over there as well. For us, that will do it for this evening. We'll be back again on Thursday night for the Super Speedway Truck Series back at Talladega. And then, of course, on Sunday night, finishing up the week with the Super Speedway Xfinity Series. So until then, I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Boomer, as always, thank you so much for helping me out with these things. It makes it so much fun to do with you. And, of course, everybody watching that supports us, thank you all for all your support. And definitely don't be shy. Feel free to chat and YouTube. I'll say any questions, comments. We always enjoy seeing them and love to kind of interact with you all. So until then, stay safe, take care, and we'll see you all on Thursday.